Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of September 14th, 2025. There's still a few spots left for my transits class for Kepler College. It starts tomorrow, and it's a 5-week class where you will learn about transits, perfections, eclipses, and more. You can check the link in the show notes and see if you would like to join. You must be able to read a natal chart before you join in this class. It's intermediate to advanced. I am teaching a 3-day intensive on predictive astrology in Park City, Utah, as part of the Organization of Professional Astrology's Cosmic Shift Retreat. You can be an advanced beginner to join. We went to the same location last year and had a spectacular time. It's going to be such an amazing event. There are other astrologers teaching, including Rick Levine, Lynn Bell, and Rachel Lang. There are also some peer groups and consulting skills available. So you can check it out at the link in the show notes. I have a discount code, Faculty Promo 55, where you'll get $55 off of the registration. If you're thinking about going and getting a cosmic nudge, join us. You will have an amazing time. Next, let's look back at some of the astrology in action. On September 5th, Uranus, the planet of awakening, sudden shocks, assassinations, lightning strikes, earthquakes, and scientific advancements, stationed to go retrograde for the first time in the sign of Gemini, which rules children, transportation, and communication of all forms. And then 2 days later, we had the Pisces lunar eclipse. 15 Pisces. Lunar eclipses are big bursts of energies. They're full moons times 10 or 10,000, depending on how your chart is activated. And they can bring full exposure. And there's 3 stories I want to bring your attention to. There were 1,000 stories, but we're going to focus in. Nepal is in a state of upheaval. There was a social media ban, so you can think about that's Gemini, and there's a sudden break Uranus, where something retrogrades, reverse things. They do the RE words, and they can bring conflict, delays, and disagreements. The people there were furious. There's also anger about nepotism, where people high up in the government's children flaunt their wealth, while many in the country are having a lot of difficulty financially. And people have been rioting for days. The country is in a complete state of upheaval and chaos. They're burning buildings down. The prime minister resigned. There was a wife of a former prime minister who was set on fire. It is absolute chaos. And Pisces rules chaos. Congress released Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday book. And so we have some full exposure to Jeffrey Epstein. His natal chart was in the book. We see the actual picture that Donald Trump drew for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday, and it's a silhouette of a naked female form that looks like a girl. He says something about enigma and never aging. You can see the picture and read his whole thing. This book is so obscene. Last Monday's word of the day was nauseating. There are all of these innuendos about Jeffrey Epstein being a pedophile. One of the pictures has him holding balloons with a piece of candy in his hand and a bunch of schoolgirls standing in front of him. And the podcast last week was called Strangers with Candy. And so that was a psychic hit about this birthday book. And Uranus retrograde in Gemini. Gemini rules books. Uranus, it's very shocking to see what's in this book. There's also a picture of a check written out for $22,500, and it's a joke about selling Donald Trump a depreciated woman or girl or something like that. It's just really obscene. And this is much bigger than the president. This is about how the wealthy use their money and power to sexually abuse and demean. Hopefully, there will be consequences. I talked last week about how the sun was going to meet the south node and how that's a dangerous time for leaders, as well as lunar eclipses are dangerous for leaders. In ancient Mesopotamia, they used to put a proxy in for the leader around times of lunar eclipses because they had observed that these were dangerous times for kings and emperors. Charlie Kirk was a MAGA influencer. He was very persuasive with especially younger people, brought them into more of the conservative ideology, and he was assassinated in Utah on a college campus. Uranus rules assassinations, and Pisces, he's being turned into a martyr by the right. Now, Pisces also rules mourning the dead. It's very concerning that we're seeing this rise in potentially political violence around the country. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birthdate book. It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birth date candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The theme of this week is To Kill a Mockingbird, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that we have a last quarter moon at 21 Gemini today. The sun is at 21 Virgo, squaring the moon at 21 Gemini. Squares are tense aspects, and the last quarter moon is a crisis of consciousness. So things may come to your attention that you weren't aware of before. Your subconscious is alerting you to things. They both report into Mercury. Mercury is in its home sign of Virgo, and traditionally it's where it's exalted as well. So it's Mercury's favorite sign because it can take in information and be discerning about what information is important. It separates the wheat from the chaff is what Virgo does. But with the square between Virgo and Gemini, it's like Gemini wants to tell you everything and take in everything. But Virgo says, wait a minute, let's think about what's important. And so there's this tension about the writer or thinker versus the editor who's going to cut things down to make it more impactful and organized and delivering things efficiently and precisely. So this week can be amazing for editing things. You can go back to things you did before and make them better. Now, Mercury is the trickster. So there can be this energy around jokesters. This last quarter moon is important for the US. There will be a story related to this energy because the moon, which rules the people, is conjunct the natal Mars in Gemini of the United States on the seventh house cusp. So this suggests there can be conflict, energy, or passion related to one of the country's allies or enemies. These are seventh house topics. And the sun is on the Neptune of the United States in the ninth house of foreign affairs, higher education, religion, and court matters, judicial matters. So there could be an important court case where we hear about a decision about potentially foreign students. Hyundai was building a plant in Georgia to make batteries, and some of their workers from South Korea were in the United States to train workers, and they were arrested by ICE. It's a huge international incident. This is a huge opportunity for Georgia and has repercussions where other companies may be deciding not to invest in the United States for the safety of their employees. And Neptune has themes of you can't see things or things are dissolved in some way. Notice if there are themes of conflict related to these topics. With Mars square Neptune, people can be going to battle for spiritual reasons. This is holy war energy. So notice any talks about crusades or crusaders. And the title of the episode, To Kill a Mockingbird, this was an award-winning book that is being banned in some parts of the United States. It's considered an absolute classic and talks about morality and empathy seen through the eyes of children, giving it the Gemini theme. And their father of the main character is this very honorable lawyer, Atticus Finch. And part of the story is about how a black man, so there's this racism component, is being railroaded because he's accused of raping this white woman who was actually raped by her father. When people talk about this book, they mostly focus on the racism issue, but it's a book that deals with incest. There are themes that are now amplified with the Jeffrey Epstein case. The sun at 21 Virgo corresponds with the 10 of Pentacles card. That's a card of wealth, achievement, inheritance, a royal coat of arms enriched with precious stones. This gives themes of eugenics, pure blood, and royalty. The moon at 21 Gemini corresponds to the 10 of Swords tarot card. This is a card that is difficult energy. It's the stabbed in the back card, but it can also be the end of a hard story, and swords are mental, so it could be the end of heartbreak. The Sabian symbol is dancing couples crowd the barn in a harvest festival. And the Sabian symbols are from Linda Hill. So this gives themes of dances and celebrations. When you bring the two together, this gives me themes of like where there in the past have been conflicts between people when like, interracial couples went to high school dances. So we'll see if there's some kind of conflict between people based on hereditary stuff, between tribes, between races, or political parties. But I really like this energy of the last quarter moon for people who want to get something done. But just keep in mind, there's this trickster energy. Read over everything. Try not to be rushing through things, because this could be someone sends an email or a text to the wrong person accidentally, and it could cause a problem. Some people are going to be finding out deception because the lunar eclipse is still in full force. They'll maybe finding out things about, I just got the image of false friends. So pay attention to what under this last quarter moon. You may get important information that may feel a little like it stings if someone said something unkind about you, but it's good to know. The next thing I want to make you aware of is Mercury, the planet of communication, commerce, and transportation, will transit the sign of Libra from September 18th through October 6th. Libra is the sign of relationships, partnerships, and diplomacy. It rules the kidneys. The glyph is like the scales. Scales weigh and balance things. Justice is a Libra topic. And this planet in this sign can be negotiations or communications that are desiring and able to achieve win-win solutions between the two parties that may have been in conflict. Low road energy is indecisive, gossipy, people-pleasing, going along just to get along. On September 18th, Mercury will move from 29 Virgo, where it's in its home sign, and then fall into 0 Libra. So it's losing dignity. Someone could say something very critical, and then they're doing things to try to make it up to you when Mercury goes into Libra, and like giving you compliments or trying to charm you. Libra is an air sign, and it can be charming and eloquent. Now, this could also be someone gets a health diagnosis with 29. Virgo rules the health. 0 Libra, you're bringing balance into your life. You're trying to reach your goal weight. You're cleaning up the pantry, getting rid of the stuff you don't want. Or you could have been doing a diet and being very discerning about what you were eating, and you get to 29 Virgo and you get on the scale and you've achieved your goal weight. In 0 Libra, you go shopping for new things. So notice how you see that energy dynamic of Mercury moving from 29 Virgo to 0 Libra. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Venus will enter Virgo from September 19th through October 13th. Venus is the planet of love, beauty, and harmony. Virgo is mutable earth. Virgo is a sign of service and practicality. Venus is in fall in this sign. The planet does not like to be here. It's uncomfortable. Now, if you have this natally, you've learned to work with it. But when we're talking about transits, what we call essential dignity can be so helpful in understanding how a planet will act in the sign. Venus does not act with ease in the sign of Virgo because she's in the sign of her fall, where there's a sense of being uncomfortable. In love relationships, it can be very helpful when you don't notice other people's flaws. And Virgo is very discerning. So Venus and Virgo in love relationships can tend to show affection through acts of service, helpfulness, practical support rather than grand dramatic gestures. Someone being honest, reliable, and sincere, which is Virgo energy. When you think about fashion with Venus, there is a minimalistic and understated elegance with Virgo, clean lines rather than flashy displays. The shadow side of this energy can be too critical or picky about romantic partners, or struggling with perfectionism in oneself or other people. You may notice that people are a little bit more critical of their partners. Like Venus could go into Virgo and the person at work could be complaining about their husband and nitpicking and being really critical. Or someone could be telling you about how their husband bought them a vacuum cleaner for their birthday or something like that. On September 19th, Venus will move from 29 Leo, a sign of royalty. Leo's dramatic. Leo makes big, ostentatious displays into 0 Virgo. So someone could get their eye on this beautiful purse that they want, and it looks very fancy. They ask the price, it's far outside what they can afford. That could be Venus 29 Leo to 0 Virgo. Or you could be seeing that in a movie. The Devil Wears Prada, when the main character goes to work at Vogue, she's very Venus in Virgo in this 29 Leo environment. So think about that energy. At its best, Venus in Virgo is love as a devotional practice. Someone who treats you with thoughtfulness, care, and nurtures the relationship with service. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is replacement. This is the day of the last quarter moon where the sun is at 21 Virgo and the moon is at 21 Gemini. They're in a square at 3:32 a.m. Pacific time. This is the crisis of consciousness. The song Buffalo Soldiers was playing in my mind by Bob Marley. I certainly hope we're not going to have a problem with Jamaica on this day. There's really switcheroo energy and trickster energy. This would be a great day to do an escape room where you go to one of those places and you figure out clues to try to get out of the room. The goal is to get out of the locks. Now, the moon is square Mercury in Virgo next at 22 degrees. And then the moon squares Saturn retrograde in Pisces at 28 degrees. So the Gemini moon squares Saturn retrograde in Pisces. This is conflict energy between a group of people. The moon enters the sign of Cancer at 5:29 p.m. Pacific time. The moon is at home in this sign where it can do what it does with ease, but the first thing it does is its opposite Neptune retrograde in Aries. and they're both at 0 degrees. So there may be something or someone talking about replacements in some sort of way. On Monday, the word of the day is armor. And I got the theme of knight in shining armor because Venus in Leo is sextile Mars in Libra on this day. They're both at 25 degrees. Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and harmony, and the sign of dramatic displays. Sextiles are opportunities, and Venus wants to partner, and Mars doesn't like to be in Libra, but is answering into Venus, so it's accepting of Venus. This is a great day to ask your sweetie for whatever you would like from them. They are more likely to say yes, potentially. And I got the image that this energy is someone who had this natally could be very dramatic and regal and chivalrous. I got the image of a man throwing his coat on a puddle of water so a lady could keep her feet dry, that chivalry kind of image. The feminine and masculine planets are working together. This is great energy for someone who's a hopeless romantic. This is like watching a Harlequin movie kind of energy. Now, it could also, on the shadow side, be fights in relationships that are ego-based, because Leo can get really into the ego and haughty and prideful. Mars rules conflict, and Mars and Libra can also be passive-aggressive. So watch out for being passive-aggressive. On Tuesday, the word of the day is surgical. There is going to be some kind of big story about this. Chiron retrograde at 26 Aries. This could be a great day for therapy and getting to the core of things that wound you or how you hurt yourself with some of your actions. First, Mercury in Virgo is going to be quincunxes. So there can be a communication, or think about how if you're too critical of others and yourselves, that is causing you harm. Then Venus is trine Chiron in Aries, Venus in Leo. Ooh, can you feel more self-confident about yourself and recognize the wounds, but don't react, speak, and think out of them? And then Mars in Libra is opposite Chiron, and you can think about how you're going to take action in your relationship that is going to be different than it was before so that you don't continue the same conflicts. This could be someone who's very insecure, causing conflicts in their relationship by constantly needing validation from the partner, and they recognize this and start taking action, Mars, to change that. Now, Mars opposite Chiron is very tense energy, and Aries is very fiery. So there could be some dramatic talk of conflict on this day. Now, Chiron's retrograde, so it could be conflict that happened in the past. The moon in Cancer is squaring Chiron retrograde in Aries on one side and Mars in Libra on the other side, all at 26 degrees. So if you have anything right around 26 degrees, especially in cardinal signs, the one that's missing is Capricorn. So watch out at work. Capricorn can have associations at work from having an emotional response, Cancer moon, that brings conflict between someone you're supposed to be a partner with. Now, it's surgical is the word because Mercury in Virgo and Mars in Libra make me think about a health issue. Maybe we'll find out something about the president getting some kind of procedure to help him with his health problems. The moon in Leo starts at 10:19 p.m. Pacific time. Leo is fiery and feisty, it's proud. There's this energy of the sextile between Venus and Mars, which can also be very playful and fun. Maybe you and your lover are playing doctor and nurse. How can you find collaboration and balance rather than lean into that opposition energy of Mars opposite Chiron? On Wednesday, the word of the day is redemption. And I was hearing that Bob Marley song in my head. The Leo moon is opposite Pluto in Aquarius. Oppositions come in through other people. So people are opposing something that's causing a problem. Leo is a fire sign, so there's going to be something pretty dramatic that we're seeing. We're in eclipse season, a time of big events. And on this day, Mercury in Virgo is opposite Saturn retrograde in Pisces. They're both at 28 degrees. Last year, this was on the lunar eclipse in Pisces, where Israel had the bombs go off, the pager bombs go off in Lebanon. That was so disturbing. We'll see if there's any talk about that or if there's any redemption about that story at this time. There's a balsamic moon at 10 Leo, and that's the president's Pluto. Pluto rules power dynamics, brutality. Maybe Mercury in Virgo is one of the Epstein victims talking about or shedding light about the difficulties that they faced. Saturn is cruel, and Pisces has a lack of boundaries. So there may be someone talking about the president. On Thursday, the word of the day is notification. Mercury enters the sign of Libra at 3:05 a.m. Pacific time. So on Wednesday, an Epstein victim could have testified specifically about the president with the balsamic moon being on his Pluto. Now we're talking about legal consequences potentially. And as soon as Mercury enters the sign of Libra, it creates a kite of air and fire. Mercury in Libra is trine Uranus retrograde in Gemini and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So there's conversation, maybe things that have to do with legal affairs or fashion. Maybe there's something about it that's unique, or someone who had a lot of power in the collective. There could be something about a fashion designer. But I got transistor radio, and Mercury's opposite Neptune in Aries. There's been talk in the Trump administration about wanting to take away the Second Amendment rights of trans people to have guns. I hope this is not what this is about, but Mercury in Libra could be one of these executive orders that opposite Neptune and Aries takes something away from. Neptune dissolves things. Aries is associations with violence and guns. Pluto in Aquarius, it's like power over a group of people. And Uranus in Gemini, Uranus, people who are considered different. And Uranus reverses things. Notice this energy. A kite is a grand trine, and then there's a planet in that grand trine that's opposite another planet, and that Neptune is in a sextile with both Uranus and Pluto. And it makes this configuration where you can lift things up and take flight. Because with air trines or any kind of trine, which is this, you can get caught in loops and stuck in the energy. And having that opposition and the sextiles helps make this energy productive. And on this day, Venus at 28 Leo is quincunx Saturn retrograde at 28 Pisces. Venus is on the president's ascendant, and quincunx Saturn This could be a woman talking about harm they feel like this person has done, or people talking about these drawings or the check that's in the Jeffrey Epstein book that looks like the president was paying for women from Jeffrey Epstein. The sun in Virgo is also quincunx Chiron in Aries, both at 26 degrees. The president says he did not contribute this picture in the book, but no one believes this. They were very close friends. There's tons of pictures of Jeffrey Epstein and the president together. He's talked about how much he liked Jeffrey Epstein. There's one of the victims has accused the president of abuse and videotape testimony years ago. That would be fantastic if she came out of hiding and talked about what happened to her. If that young woman, Katie is her first name, came back to light, this could be the story of this week. Mercury in Libra is also trine Uranus retrograde in Gemini, and then Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So this day, there is a lot of communication going on. That could be a lot of shocks and awe. Mercury communicates. It can also destabilize and argue, depending on what it's talking to. And that Mercury opposite Neptune is very tense. On Friday, the word of the day is absolution. The moon and Venus are conjunct 29 Leo on the president's ascendant. Maybe they pulled Ghislaine Maxwell out of prison and have her lying about how he didn't do anything. Maybe they have Ghislaine Maxwell, she could be Mercury in Libra, talking about trying to offer cover for the president because this is getting pretty heated now that the birthday book is out. I'm taping this on Wednesday, the 10th of September, so I don't know what has happened in the last several days, but the moon will enter Virgo at 5:22 a.m. Pacific time. Virgo is mutable earth. Its job is to bring order to chaos. So the moon, Venus at 29 Leo could be something very dramatic happening. I get the image of a judge banging a gavel or the head of a committee trying to get people to calm down. Venus then enters Virgo at 5:38 a.m. Pacific time. So notice if you see that switch from Venus in Leo to Venus in Virgo on this day. And then the moon in Virgo squares Uranus in Gemini. This feels very much like a young woman, Virgo, virgins, maidens, square Uranus in Gemini, both at 1 degree, recalling something that happened when she was a child. This could be news about health stuff. Something Gemini rules the lungs. So keep that in mind as we move through this week. And then Venus in Virgo's quincunx Neptune in Aries, and Mars in Libra is quincunx Saturn in Pisces, both at 28 degrees. So this is really going to be interesting what the story is on this day. Is someone trying to give someone absolution? Is someone asking to be forgiven for their trespasses? Is someone offering an alibi or a cover story for someone else? Is this all health related and has nothing to do with the Epstein files? We shall see. But I think this is a karmic story that time has come due, and someone who's not the president, one of these business people, could be called to task for what they did or what they wrote in this birthday book. Bill Clinton is in there too, so his number could come up. On Saturday, the word of the day is emancipation. Venus is in Virgo, squares Uranus in Gemini. Venus squares Uranus can be upheaval in a relationship, and it's also quincunx Pluto in Aquarius. So this could be a woman telling a story about domestic violence. The president downplayed domestic violence. He said something about when a woman has a little fight with her husband. He was mad about crime statistics, including domestic violence. So this could be a story about someone who has had it with being mistreated in their relationship and they decide to leave. They have had it. Venus rules relationships. Uranus suddenly breaks things. And Pluto dealing with the shadows, dealing with brutality. And then the moon meets the south node in Virgo. So what are people finding out about the south node? The Virgo sun is opposite Saturn and Pisces, both at 28 degrees. There's themes of endings. Pisces rules slavery. Now, this could be people talking about sex trafficking in the past or some kind of raid where people are released from a harsh circumstance. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. I'd love to see you in transits class or join me in Park City, Utah. Take good care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.